I just like to start in a little bit of humility. There's a picture from my childhood there. And just start by saying storytelling is one of the most powerful ways to communicate. It's through the telling of our particular stories that we not only come together more and grow in understanding, but actually understand our collective universal story better. So I want to thank all of you. Thank the organizers for the privilege to share my individual story in the hopes that it will contribute to our collective understanding and growth. Also, I do hope that I'm able to present a different face or perspective on the Christian faith, which is my tradition, and Christian leadership, which is my job, my role, than is maybe typically seen or understood in the US today. I don't look like a typical Christian leader or pastor for most of what they envision. And I think you'll probably find too that my understanding and way of moving and participating in community is different than the kind of known or understood or common perception. So my background, as I said, I was raised as a Christian Lutheran, went to Christian schools my whole life. But I was also raised to take science very seriously. Even as our whole lives were framed within our Christian faith, that often Christianity and science are seen as opposing to one another, but in my house, in my faith understanding, they were seen not in opposition, but as part of one another. For example, one of the big kind of hot topics is like creationism versus evolution. And that seemed to be like at loggerheads and so opposite each other. But in my household, there was no issue in the way I was raised. However God chose to make creation happen, great. If evolution is the way it was done, wonderful. That science contributes to our faith and our faith contributes to our science. So I have a Bachelor of Science in Education and a Master of Divinity degree, and I have indeed discovered my passion and calling as a pastor, a faith leader, and have served the last 7 years at Audubon Park Church, bringing a vision of renewal, sustainability, and community orientation. It is at Audubon Park that I have come to be known as the pastor farmer, or in the words of my friend, Pastor James Amadon, kind of ecological pastor. So this is a very overgrown picture, but that's actually, it does not look like that now. That's my front yard. So talking about being a practitioner, I do definitely practice what I preach. So it is my faith that is my primary lens through which I look at the world. But the picture is focused entirely, the shape of that lens is focused entirely by an integrated, holistic, nature-based lens shape. So I just want to kind of bring that a little bit. First, because of how dominant like Christian Western thought is, probably most of you know a little bit at least about the Bible, about the Christian scriptures, the Old and New Testament. The Bible, in fact, begins in Genesis in a garden. And I just thought there's a fanciful picture of it. Obviously, this is symbolic. It's a way, that storytelling is a way of expressing the values and the ideas of the faith and the start of the world, of the universe as much as the world. And in the Christian scriptures, at the end of time, that is displayed, the story being told in Revelation, the last book of the Bible, is actually the garden, a garden in a city, and is a powerful symbol of kind of the future that we are to be striving and longing for. So in fact, the Christian scriptures is full of talk about the earth and our relationship with the earth and with nature, with creation. So in Genesis, we are told that we were created out of and dependent on the earth and given the responsibility to care for it. This is the first calling and mandate of humanity. And indeed, I do believe that God has a plan for this world. And as we approach here the celebration of Martin Luther King Jr. Day this weekend, Martin Luther King Jr. says that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice for all, including the earth. So I like to talk about the church as a demonstration plot of God's way. And that's what we try to do at our church, and what I try to do as a pastor to be that and display the demonstration of God's kingdom way, a way of justice and peace, a way of inclusion. I'm going to stop sharing here. There are a few words that hold a lot of power as I do this work for me. The idea of neighboring and being a neighbor, the idea of community and the concept of community. However, when I define those words, how I define them, how I operate in the world is a little different than most people. When I say neighbor, when I talk about community, I am not just talking about the humans. I'm also talking about the creatures that live in my community. I'm talking about the soil, the trees, the birds, even the microbes in the soil. And one of my favorite authors, Wendell Berry, talks about the smallest unit of health being community. And I think if we thought of community this broadly, as some faith traditions really do, it will really affect how we live in the world. So before I end, I just want to talk about this in light of this conversation about religious freedom. First, my belief and understanding is that the more and different kinds of people at the table, places of power and decision-making, the better off we will all be. In fact, the table is a very powerful symbol of Christianity. Christians gather around a table and say that it is Jesus himself who is the host. And so bringing more kinds of people with different beliefs, perspectives, cultures, understandings will only make us all better off. I feel strongly too that it is less important that we have the same religious belief system as much as that we have this willingness, the same willingness to work together and desire to care for the vulnerable and make the world a better place. One more thing, and I know I'm getting close. Boy, it's hard for a pastor to just say things in only 7, and me particularly say things in only 7 minutes. So I'm really trying here. Finally, I believe that God is love. So the Bible even says that. 1 Corinthians 13, the writer Paul shares a list of the nature of love, which you have most likely heard perhaps at a Christian wedding at some point. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. So if this is true of real self-giving love, then this is most certainly true of God as I understand God. God does not force a single one of God's creatures, nor a single one of us into a relationship with God. God loves and blesses and invites, but does not force. To me, then, religious freedom is a crucial part of any society which purports to have Christianity at its base, as many in the US claim for us. So protecting and advocating for that freedom is a profoundly loving act of Christian faithfulness as a result. Thank you all so much for letting me share. It's a joy.